How many of you have time issues in running your business, having to have a life and your time? Guys, see your hands out there who feels like that's there? So you can see it's about 90% of this room, right? And some people are just too tired to raise their hand. But the issue of time is not the real issue. The real issue is that they're operating as an operator, not an owner. And so what I start to do in the beginning, you have to do both, right? But what I start to do is show them how you have to be able to break off and get other people to do things. But more importantly, I teach people, I do a 5-day boot camp, I call Business Mastery a couple times a year. And we bring in businesses from all over the world, literally. And we have people just starting a business, and we have people with, businesses that are doing $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion. And what you find is that there's a common pattern amongst all these group of people where they find themselves, if it's a small business, they do everything because they feel like they're the only one who can do it, or they tried someone else and they failed. Well, that happens in every business. You have to begin to leverage yourself, or you're just going to be self-employed, and you'll never have the scalability. A business is a system that adds value even when you're not there. And you as a leader have to get good enough to both hire people and train people so that you're not a manager. A manager works with people to make sure they get the job done while you're there. But if you have to be there, can I run 33 companies? I mean, every 4 days I'm on a plane, train, helicopter, on stage somewhere on average in a year, and I got 33 companies. There's 12 I manage directly, but I couldn't do that by management. I do it by leadership. I build leaders who can make their own decisions. I hire people that are the best of the best. Now in the beginning, that's hard because you have no money, right? So you hire the best, it's called you, and you pay them nothing, right? And then now you try to hire other people, and what do? You hire your friends, which is a disaster because they're not as skilled, and you love them, and it's hard to manage them. And then I hired people that were really talented, but they were mean, they didn't share my values. And so eventually you get to that place where you can find the right people. But I think the most important secret for the growth of any business, the question I guess on how to get over the time, and the answer is you got to take 2 hours, 90 minutes a week with your team of 1, 2, 3, 2,000, and you got to meet where you work on the business. And I teach people a format called 7-7, where there's 7 areas of a business that you cannot miss: marketing, sales, optimization, the financials, culture. And I'll make sure that each week you and your team focus on that, not the day-to-day business, but how do we strengthen our marketing, not just for this run, but overall, how do we build the brand? What do we do to change our sales process? How do we optimize the business? How do we spend no money and grow the business 30% in the next 3 to 6 months? And when you take small markers in the business that are critical and you improve them 5, 10, 15%, but you do 12 of them, you'll grow your business 120, 130%, 140% because there's a compounding impact. You don't just get the improvement you've made. So I try to help businesses to make those changes so you have time to think and be strategic. Because if you're just running, how many of you are stressed? I'll be honest if you would. Today, being here and not being at your business, how many feel some stress in your business being away even for a day? Okay, write down, I'm a business operator, F that, right? I'm gonna become a business owner, you gotta be. The goal, if you own a business, and I would assume a lot of your viewers are business owners or getting started in business, no matter how good you are in business, think about this. The one universal rule that idiots in finance know is diversification. It's the only free lunch. You gotta diversify. Because if you put all your eggs in one basket, no matter how good the basket is, one day that real estate market, that stock market, that bond market, that collectibles market, whatever you invest in, Ray Dalio showed me statistically, it'll drop 50 to 70% on a day. Now, if you're later in life when that happens, it's over for you.
Right.
So you have to diversify, and yet most people, they know real estate, so they do it, or they know stocks, so they do it, or they grew up with their parents flipping things, and it's the wrong thing to do. Mm-hmm. So you've got to diversify in order for you to be able to truly succeed, and that's why when you own a business, if you put all your money in your business, which is what most of us do naturally,
a lot of risk.
You put all your eggs in one basket, and there's things that can happen. I mean, let's say you spent 20 years and you figured out how to put together the ultimate map, and you remember Garmin came out with this thing called a TomTom. I don't know if you remember, you used to put on are you old enough to remember that? You used to put on your phone? Or you used to put on your dash? Cost $100. It was a breakthrough.
They were making like 100 million or something,
They were. 6 months later, what happened?
The iPhone came out with Google Maps.
These little bastards, excuse my French, came out with it, put Google Maps, put their own map on here, and it costs how much? $0. What's that gonna do to your business when someone takes your product or service and gives it away for free? So I always tell people, competition happens, technology happens. What you must do is have a second business with no moving parts, no people, no time. Maybe it takes you 3 days a year for 2 or 3 hours after you've read the book. You put it in place and you measure it 2 or 3 times a year. That's it.
Yeah.
Go on with your life. Now if there's trouble in your business, you're financially set. In my life, I have 31 companies now. We have, what do we have? 1,200 employees, 7 different industries. We do $5 billion in sales. Yeah. I mean, that used to be, me and my seminar business. It's grown geometrically. Wow. But with all those moving parts, the only way I've been able to succeed is because I've taken every one of those businesses and I've diversified my assets so that when things were in trouble, I still had enough economics to take care of myself and keep the business going. So everybody needs to create a money machine that works while you sleep, that doesn't have moving parts, and that's what this is really about. If you look at a business, the chokehold on the growth of any business is always the psychology and the skill set of the leader. And it's 80% psychology and 20% mechanics, meaning so many small businesses, the owner might be an incredible innovator. Maybe they write incredible code. Maybe they're a tremendous influencer, but they don't know the economic side of their business, right? And they find themselves getting in trouble because somebody's giving them financial information after the fact. They don't have true financial intelligence to make decisions, and they get caught up.
Can you give me an example of a business like that? You don't have to name names.
Yeah, no, I'll pick my own examples. I had several companies early in my career that were near bankruptcy because I would sit down and I knew how to produce products that would change people's lives. I knew how to market. I knew how to build teams of people. But what I didn't know was finance. So I'd look and say, okay, how are we doing? I go, oh, you got a 20% profit. You got $2 million in profit in those days, little tiny company. And I come to the end of the year and there was no cash, right? I didn't know that profit is a theory, right? And so just not having that skill, or someone might be really great in finance, but they're not any good in marketing. So sometimes it's a skill problem, but 80% of it, you can solve those skills. You can get those skills if you can change your psychology. But when you accept that, oh my God, the market's down, or oh my God, the economy in our area is down, when you allow the environment to control your psychology, you're not gonna win. Will that make the relationship better? We have a conflict right now because, see, we thought we knew what the rules were, but there are these special rules. And does this happen in a relationship? I love you except when. Right? Yeah, I'll trust you except when. This happens except when. And those except whens create a lot of upsets. So what I've found throughout the years is that you got to know what your rules are, number one. The more you understand what your rules are, the better off you can conduct your own life. If you know what your rules are, you may see some of them are unfair and you may want to change them. And I'm not going to take all the time to try and do that today. That is a process that takes a day and a half by itself. 2, once you know what your rules are and you decide to change them, 2, you must find out other people's rules if you're going to get in a game with them. Because otherwise you're going to have a what? Upset. You're going to have some pain. If you don't know somebody's rules when you get in the game, I guarantee you're going to have upsets. And isn't this what happens in most marriages? You get married, you think you know you're playing by the same rules. You get married and you find out about all these other rules. Or you find out they're not playing by your rules. And then you get real upset. Marriages end because people have totally different rules. And they get upset about them constantly until they go through threshold. So, number 1, get clear about your own rules. Number 2, get clear about the rules of the people you're going to play with, the people you're going to be in proximity with. Now, you're never going to be sure of all the rules, but try and get them clear. Say, you know what? I want to find out what's most important to you. And here's how you're going to do it. You're going to make a distinction. In doing rules, I found something. How many of you have noticed that there are some things you have, rules you have, that you will just flat never violate, and some that you'll violate in a heartbeat? Like you shouldn't, but you'll still do it. And then you should on yourself afterwards. How many got that distinction in your head? So I'll give you an example. What must you do to be healthy? Somebody raise your hand. Something you must do to be healthy. Must, not should. Must do. Okay? Yes, ma'am. You must eat to be healthy. Okay, that's interesting. What must you do, Carolyn? You must exercise. Now, those 2 different rules, could they have an impact on where you end up in your life? One person's rule is must eat, someone else's must exercise. Will that change your life, yes or no? Just by having that one different rule, yes or no? Could very well change your life. Okay, now we have to find out more about what must eat means. We're looking at surface value, right? But the point is, we have different rules. What must you never do in order to be healthy? I'll tell you what, let's do this, just for fun. Let me see if I got a clean sheet of paper here for you, and I'll give you an example. Somebody here who is overweight and would like to change it. I'm not going to change it, but I want you to be able to see what your rules are. But somebody who identifies himself as overweight and would like to change it, please raise your hand. Somebody who's overweight and would really like to change it. And by the way, right now is not changing it. That's the other thing, is not changing it currently.
Well, Bill C-16 purported to do nothing but extend human rights provisions to an excluded group, let's say, to the transgender and non-gender binary types. And that was the federal legislation.
You don't have time. That's a lie. You don't have support. That's a lie. You don't have the equipment or the gear. Lies. You don't know the best way. Who cares? That's a lie. Or you're too old or you're too young. Of course you're too old or too young. Lie. And there's you're too busy. Sure you are. That's a lie.
Clarity is the DNA of mastery. So if you look at the titans of business, the true leaders in finance, these people literally will say, look at my charts. If you look at a great military leader, you look at a great athlete, they have such granular, in a world of superficiality, they have shifted to massive granularity so they know in intimate detail exactly what their future timeline will look like.